Hello, this is Pixie doing another video. It was an opportunity just to do a quick vid as I'm going around. Might as well. There was some odd things, or thoughts on mine. I have to be careful how I talk about certain subjects because they're a bit censored. So the current illness that's going around, and the preventative injection. So I've had two people I've known that seem to have developed ME and MS symptoms. Now I'm not too sure if one's had a contact with the virus directly or whether it's from the means of prevention, whatever they might be. Because the thing is basically is that if you have an underlying condition, so you've got an autoimmune disorder of some sort that you're maybe not fully aware of, and you ramp up your immune system, you will get issues that either your body can rectify or it doesn't. There's another lady I know, and she was given a lot of, I think she had basically her immune system's underperforming, so it's not dealing with the problem due to circulation, due to other issues maybe possibly there, and so she's given some antibiotics, and what's happened is that she becomes very itchy. She said, "Oh, I'm very itchy," and to the antibiotics because of her immune system is reacting. So she's obviously got something whereby her immune system is attacking itself, attacking its own body at some level. And to be honest, it may actually do that anyway. If you've got signals that say it's damaged tissue, problem with it, then it'll probably try to alter that in some way. Your body either accepts it as a part of itself, or it rejects it at some level. So it seems really interesting that there's a lady that was probably about 26, I don't know, something like that, and suddenly she suffered from some sort of paralysis, and they don't know why, and it left her weakened down one side of her body, and I'm thinking, well, what the hell that could be? And I don't know what it is. So if it was right, well, they either got some inklings but they can't prove it, or they're not allowed to suggest it's anything other, then there's still a mystery for whatever reason. It's a bit like if you asked for your blood type, they seem to want to hold information that belongs to you away from you, because I think when people have their birth certificates and so on, they're registered to the state, and so they give up some more ownership than they realise, so they have some level of slavery. But it seems like an obsessive thing. I mean, I've had that with my own children. They were so adamant, like, take blood out of his foot and stick it on the card, and they stick the toes, and they do the 5 toes, because then it's a signature under the crown. They're registered. It doesn't have to be done in blood at all. It could be done with ink, but they don't. People believe it's like it's a test of blood and that lot. But if they think about it, it's actually putting it on a bit of card. There's nothing sterile in what they're doing. It's just like some weird thing they do to babies. It's never really fully explained the reason why they do that. So it leaves it open to conspiracy, because it doesn't make any sense. I mean, maybe it made sense 100 years ago or something. I don't know what they would do to register a child. It seems a bit bizarre. So this lady, she had some sort of attack, and one morning she woke up and she couldn't move, or had some sort of paralysis, weakness in her legs. And then I got another person who she did have COVID hit the family, and caused some health problems. She had the virus with her children. I don't know if she caught it. I don't really know the background on that, so it's sort of open for debate. But I think if you live in the same house, it's hard not to catch the virus off somebody else, that kind of thing. So we don't know, but it seems strange what's happened to her, and it seems quite sad as well. She's only in her 30s, and suddenly she's not A1 anymore. And before, mean, she was very manic before, so her body was always on the go. So maybe everything was revved up, her immune system and everything. She was, you know. I do know that other family member, bloody car cutting on the inside, wasn't there? I could have cut across him without realising. Yeah, so one of our other family did have some immune system issues. Because I remember when I used to go to school with one of our family members, and she, I think she said she couldn't eat any colorants, and what happened, she just did it. She said, well, I fancied chocolate, so I did it. And what happened is she ends up with like a panda. She had like red eyes and stuff. She just had some blotchiness that turned up, so her immune system reacts quite strongly to things, which suggests there's an autoimmune disorder in the family, whatever that might be. And a lot of it's managed. Now, most things are managed, immune systems, by their sort of gut flora and things like that. So the natural bacteria that lives on the body is a part of a sort of, it says, a symbiosis with the human. I knew this person was long, just like go down like a bullet, and it may have played the role of managing someone's immune system such a long period of time. So when someone takes certain maybe medications, maybe antibiotics, maybe they get ill when it wipes out the native bacteria that's in their body, and as a result they lacked what they had before, which was helping to manage their immune responses. So they suddenly lost that, and then their immune system's slightly out of balance, and then it creates other problems. So I think in a healthy situation, boosting antibiotics are not necessarily a bad thing. So I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's a fine art, basically, like all medicine, and basically with other things I mentioned, that is the fine balance. I mean, I've got some autoimmune potential disorders. I get IBS, I get some issues with inflammatory sort of gut issues. No, we've got a break, man. I mean, that's why I try to eat twice a day. I don't necessarily eat as well as I could do. I think my body's adapted, but I'm not having as strong inflammatory response as maybe I would have had in the past. Oh my fucking lord. Got an encounter of someone's poor driving. They just slow down to turn off, which is fine, but he's got cars right behind him, so he's got to really let people know in advance what he's up to. I mean, no one's walking around with no one's using psychic powers to figure out how other people drive on the road. That's why travelling in a straight line at a set speed, a normal speed, is probably better. It seems very busy tonight. I mean, it's 10:30 at night. Lots of cars driving up and down the road. So, basically it's a fine science. I mean, what might be better for somebody is actually just to improve their general health internally. So that could be looking into things that promote your immunity to be more balanced, and some of that's found in certain supplements, and these supplements may come in the form of different foods because that's what they contain. And it seems to me mushrooms seems to be a key factor, and the reason why is because we have mushroom DNA in us. Basically, that's what's going on there. In that we have the mitochondrials, and they act as a platform that's built on. And there might be something even smaller than that that's in there. And it could be things like, like viruses and other things that live in us that actually function to support our health, rather than to disable it and cause issues. I mean, ultimately, a virus just wants to live in its host because it's got nowhere to survive in it. It's dependent on it because it needs to replicate using their cells. So it's just a part of a spectrum. And I also wonder whether the origin of viruses are they like something from a being as a kind of defense system that actually attacks much larger targets than maybe it was originated for. that it can tackle a multi-celled target like ourselves, and maybe it was designed for something much more smaller. So it could be all, and also is it like venom? So maybe like virus is a weapon, a biological weapon created by nature from another organism, which over time has gone out of control a bit. But then again, viruses existed a lot older than us, but the viruses exist on the surface, need to use us. But there might be things in underground that they might actually be attacking other bacteria. And at some point, maybe they made the leap into other life forms for the nutrients, to survival really. But they needed a way to de-evolve themselves and reconstruct themselves. So there you've got these like blueprints that can assemble new viruses from your cells. So they're like chips really, like, you know, kind of thing. A biotechnology, that's what they are. So there could be something that they belong to. There's always a mystery. And then you've got things that may have been edited as well. I mean, we have got the technology that exist to cause changes in things, and even if we just made a few changes just to experiment and see what happened, and it could have been originally just to make it less effective rather than more aggressive virus, but I doubt that. I think they would have explored the parameters of what the virus is and how it functions, but then there's a point where nature takes it a step further and then takes it away from us in essence, and that it's painted to a group of viruses or whatever, and right, so you're going really slow, and it can be sort of re-engineered by nature, so we can play around with it, but it reads differently. It depends how complicated life is, and that with organisms. You know, I was chatting to somebody else and they were saying about how the chemicals plants give off are actually can be good for the health, because they can be like stimulants and other things in their chemical, it's part of their communication. So it's not like scent, it's not just like pollen. There's other functions in the plants. It was very interesting. I watched a program and they said, well, because plants don't move like humans and other things, they had to evolve different mechanisms to survive, because the planet went through different stages. So like the mitochondrial part of thing is a kind of a unification between two organisms, which comes back to the viruses, that one serves another, but then one could become, you know, the more dominant part of it. And it could be a defense mechanism. So a life form doesn't eat another life form because it replicates the virus in their body. But then when maybe if certain viruses are certain life forms are wiped out, they leave the virus behind. The virus lives on. So yeah, I guess it's probably flora. It's something like that. The way that things communicate chemically with other organisms, and that they can bridge the gap to other different organisms. In the same way that mycelium can bridge the gap and connect to different trees and plants, and then some of these trees and plants become reliant on it. I'm sure it probably will also supports the immune system of trees and things like that, different plants, the network, because it's in its interest to look after the food source. It's connected, wired up to it. Actually, I've got a situation with a plant I've got to deal with probably tomorrow. I think I've overwatered it. I might air out the roots a bit. I might put something on the roots, and I don't know if I've got any other soil though, so I might just air out the soil a bit. Maybe I should put some fresh soil around its roots, but wrap like a bag around it, and then make sure it's very lightly moist, not really, you know, so it's not dry and abrasive to the plant. We'll see. it's slowing down, and I just need to allow it to adapt and survive. I don't want it to die though. I'm quite fond of this plant. Otherwise I might have to get some more to try to grow a new one. It's a wild coffee plant. So yeah, anything else? So that was really the odd one, and the only thing is that's an impact on from my own personal choices, nobody else's. How I might engage with preventative measures around what people consider, or the science considers, the quick answer to the problem, which might not be for me. And it's not because I don't consider the situation serious. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there, and the reason there's misinformation is because they talk about the effectiveness of something that actually the only effectiveness that there is the stimulation of you to deal with the problem, and that's it really. It's it's a bit like, I don't know, sticking someone on a treadmill and saying it will improve your health. Only if you actually use it, and how you use it, and all these other things. But at the end of the day, it's how your body reacts to the stimulation. You can stick someone on a treadmill with a heart condition, and you actually make it worse. So it's kind of, it's basically people need to manage their own health to a certain degree, and also by taking things, you still got to have prevention methods in place, like maybe masks. I mean, they say, oh, they're not that effective and stuff like that, but they act as some form of a shield. It's not necessarily to stop the virus completely, it's just to reduce some risk of harm to you. But it's like saying that, maybe you shouldn't bother wearing a mask when you're doing spray painting or something. I mean, it's entirely up to you, but you'll realise you'll get far more particles of paint in you without it. And the impact of harm is difficult. And the other thing is that some people also have allergies to things, which is what I've always thought about, like people with peanuts. I had a whole bag of peanuts, and I was thinking to myself, one of these peanuts could kill a person, but me can eat a whole bag of them. It's just that we're made all different. That's really what it is. Anyway, sign off, have a great one, and speak to you soon. Bye.